Hi, I'm Lisa Eddy, your host of the Sacred Beauty Lifestyle Podcast. I'm so glad that you've made your way here and that I'm now sharing these podcasts here on YouTube. In my 25 years in the beauty industry, I have worked with thousands of women. I have witnessed so many beautiful, powerful, smart, and kind women who are hiding instead of shining. My mission is to empower you to own your true power and beauty inside and out, to be truly confident and shine through your skin. Lord knows the world needs your light. I'm committed to helping you understand the choices that you are making that are working for or against you. I'll also be sharing beauty tips and tools your mother never taught you, and together we will bust urban beauty myths. Make sure to subscribe today to receive episodes right when they are released. For those who prefer listening to the audio podcast, head over to sacredbeautylifestyle.com. That's sacredbeautylifestyle.com, and you can find the platform of your choice. Enjoy. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Sacred Beauty Lifestyle Podcast. Today, I have the honor of sharing the beautiful Dr. Marcia Martin. Dr. Marcia Martin holds a master's in education with a PhD. She is the heart healer and is a spiritual empowerment counselor, a minister, a best-selling author, a public speaker, and a clairaudient angel communicator, specializing in helping people heal their relationship with themselves. By healing the heart of all past pain and trauma, you'll be able to establish and maintain healthy relationships with yourself and all others so you can live a successful life. Doesn't that sound grand? Her unique, heart-centered, energetic healing approach, the angel healing heart technique. The angel heart healing technique enables you to build the perfect relationship with yourself and helps you answer the questions, who am I? Why am I here? And where am I going? Marcia helps release your greatest fear so you can achieve your biggest dreams as you heal your heart and transform your life. Without further ado, welcome, Marcia. I'm so happy to be here with you today and to get to share you with the Sacred Beauty Lifestyle listeners.
I am so grateful to be here, Lisa. I love this whole idea of inner radiance versus outer beauty. And you had sent me something saying, what would you say to your 20-year-old self if you could go back? And it would be that. It would be let go of not being physically perfect and
Mm.
instead really dig deep into your inner self. Clear out the hurt, the pain, the trauma, the stuff that has made you feel less than beautiful, less than perfect, less than unique. Really get rid of that because physical beauty is assigned to some people, but inner radiance can be cultivated and is truly the most beautiful being that can ever be. You take a plain person and you see their kindness, their compassion, their understanding, and they are beautiful. You take a beautiful person who may be physically perfect, and if they are unkind or uncaring, they no longer have any attraction. So I am so excited what you're doing about
Mm.
sharing that idea that when we clear that heart and that inner radiance and peace and love and joy are allowed to be what we present to the world, that the world is going to then see a very beautiful being.
Mm, you just took me to church. I love the way that you started the podcast by answering that question that I typically ask at the end. I love that you just flipped the script here because that's how we do it as entrepreneurs, right? We're trailblazers. We do things our own way.
Gotta be our own way or it doesn't feel good.
Right. And speaking of which, regarding everything you shared about the inner radiance, that's what I speak to, is it being your unique beauty frequency. It's an energy and it is unique and personal to you. So, yes, being all of you, and all of you is welcome.
Yes, yes. Can we get over the image of you must be a certain weight, you must be a certain skin color, you must be a certain age, you must be a certain height? And just remember, the ones that we really hold dear are the ones who have brought to us something that we can treasure. So if you are the first one in the room who looks at the woman or the man who is obviously not feeling empowered or beautiful or fully in themselves, and you find something lovely to say to them, you will be not only seen as beautiful, but you will be remembered long after that incident. And isn't that really what it's all about, is to move through the world and create beautiful moments for ourselves and for others?
Yes, thank you for that beautiful teaching. You brought Maya Angelou top of mind, because isn't she the one who said people won't remember what you said? They'll
Yes.
remember how you made them feel, because it's all about how we make people feel and how we feel. We are feeling beings first and foremost.
And there are people that I don't remember what they look like, but I remember whether I felt safe, loved, accepted, honored in their presence, or whether I felt criticized, rejected, belittled, or shamed. So
Mm,
I don't know that, even though we are visual people, that the visual holds as much of an impact as the way that that person makes us feel. And aren't we all capable of changing the visual to match how we are feeling? So you might look at the plain person who always makes you feel wonderful and say, aren't they the most lovely person? Aren't they? They just have the most beautiful smile or eyes or whatever. And suddenly they become the new ideal of beauty.
mm. I love that. You also made me think of a book. I think it's called Random Acts of Kindness. That I remember, gosh, this probably was 25 years ago at least that this book was out, and that just dropped in as like, yes, let's do more random acts of kindness, looking for beauty everywhere we go, and people are what it's all about. Like, we actually have most of our wounding occur in relationships, as you well know. And that's also where the healing begins and occurs, is also in relationships, right?
And I think it's so important that you brought that up, because let's take that segment of the population, the empathic beings who are highly sensitive and really live their lives wanting to bring joy to other people or to be of service to other people, because that's where they feel most honored or most able to shine. I think it's really important that we help those who are empathic understand that it's not okay to forget you or belittle you or shame you in order to help another person feel better. That is not really a loving act. I know for myself personally, as a young woman, I was very self deprecating, and I would use that as my way to try to lift people up. So I really want people to understand that it's not getting you where you are hoping to be. It is not honoring and loving you, and it is not really lifting people up. You can lift someone up by staying in your place of certainty and confidence and inner radiance. You don't have to put yourself down in order for to lift someone else up. And I think that makes the empathic person more vulnerable in a relationship, because if you're used to cutting yourself down so that someone else can feel better about themselves, then you may be opening yourself up to say yes to a narcissistic or an abusive relationship because to you, this is a normal pattern. To you, well, I'm always cutting myself down. I don't really mean it. I just want to lift this other person up. I want them to feel better. So, I'll just give myself a little shove down so they'll feel better. But what happens is I think we begin occupying that lower place. We begin
We,
believing that's where we're supposed to be.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wonder if you can give an example of when you say cutting yourself down. It doesn't have to be at the expense of you. Yes, I'm hearing you say, but what would be an example that you can share?
Okay, let's think of one. So I might have walked into a room and saw someone that was struggling for some reason. And I would say something like, "Wow, you look amazing. I am really would be struggling to look half as good as you, even on my best day." Meanwhile, I
Ah,
probably looked fine. Maybe I wasn't looking all put together or whatever. It wasn't necessary for me to abuse myself in order to tell the other person, "Wow, Susie, you look really nice."
thank you.
I,
I
I,
think that was helpful.
and there were so many ways that I could have done that that did not mean demeaning me, but
Yeah,
that was
where
my
did we
pattern.
learn that? Where did we learn that we had to be less than when it's really quite the opposite? When we are carrying self-confidence and honoring ourselves and boosting ourselves up, we're actually inviting, as you well know, others to meet us on a higher plane. Meet me up here, right?
And it took me so long to learn that. I never understood that really what the teaching is there is only one place where healing can occur, and it's here in the upper resonance. And so when you go down, you're just joining that person in the mud, and you're having a mud bath. Okay, that's lovely.
That's like
your skin
the
your
funniest
skin
example.
your skin may look good afterwards, but what we really want to do is stay here and invite them to join us. And that's the place where miracles occur. So
Hmm.
often when people say, "Well, a miracle can't happen in my life," it it can't. They're correct. It cannot happen while you are in this place of denial, in this place of believing that you're not enough, in this place where you are looking to contain the victim frequency and continue living that miracle is waiting for you up here, but you must move to the where it is. It cannot go down to find you. It will stay in its beauty and its miraculous frequency and its energy of healing, but it's going to ask you to let go of all of the unbelief, let go of the "it can't be," let go of your victimhood, and recognize your fullness and step into the place where it already is. And I remember when I first learned that, I thought, "God, that's really kind of mean." that's that's not nice. Why won't you just get off your lotus flower and come down to where the rest of us are? And now I understand diluting the energy to roll around in the mud is not what we want. We want to force ourselves to, let's use a different word. We want to encourage ourselves and to challenge ourselves to go higher, to find out who we really are inside once we let go of all of these titles that we might have assigned to ourselves, like "you're not enough," "you're not ever going to be amount to anything," or "other people are more deserving." Let go of all of those kinds of brandings that you might have picked up and just show yourself all that you are. But that means letting go of past trauma, letting go of the way that you responded to a circumstance or the way that you had been taught to respond to a circumstance. You can't hang on to the pain and be here. You got to let it go.
Right. Thank you. Okay, so that makes me want to ask you a little bit about your story because I know that you help empaths heal from narcissistic abuse. And there's a lot of trauma in narcissistic abuse. I think emotional abuse, and
Oh,
this is a risky thing to say, but I think emotional abuse can be far worse than physical abuse sometimes, depending on the extreme nature of the physical abuse, simply because it's often hidden abuse. It's so debilitating, and because you can't kind of put your finger on it. I'd love if you would tell a little bit about your journey there. I'm sure you have a story to tell about your life experience and how you got where you are today.
well, I have to agree with you. Physical abuse can be seen, and I am not an advocate of any kind of abuse. I'm not saying one is worse than the other, but let's get really clear that emotional abuse takes a huge toll on the person because it is generally ongoing. It is generally over a long span of time. And because no one can see it happening, it often goes without any kind of intervention. People can see a bruise, they can see a black eye, they may be moved to say to you, "Are you okay?" If they see somebody sinking into depression or becoming quieter or trying harder at school, let's say, feeling very stressed to always get the perfect grade, they may not associate that with an emotionally abused person. They may think, oh, this person is just quiet or shy or withdrawn or whatever. Or look at that, they're a really good student. But they may not understand that this person is being whittled away through criticism, through shame, through blame, through a standard, having a standard set for them that is unmeetable. And by that, I mean the goalpost keeps moving. So let's say an authority figure says to a person who's emotionally being abused or traumatized, well, I expect that you get an A in math. And so the person, and when you get that A, I'm going to give you something. You're going to get some sort of reward, prize, something. So the person tries very hard and they end up getting an A minus in math. Well, not only do they not get the reward, they get shame, blame, belittlement, criticism. Oh, I knew you were worthless. I never expected you to get an A. And even if you'd gotten an A, I was not sure if you would really deserve a reward. But since you got an A minus, you think I'm going to reward that? That kind of interaction may not show any scars on the outside, but it certainly eats away at the personal empowerment of that individual. And then they may start doing things, overcompensating by agreeing to support people in activities that are hurtful or harmful to them because they're desperate for any kind of attention or acceptance. So I think we need to be really careful when we see somebody who is always trying to be perfect. Let's ask them, are they okay? Let's let that be the first question. I see that you're trying really hard, and that's impressive. First, build them up. Wow, this is really impressive. What's motivating you to do this? Are you taking enough care of yourself? Are you loving yourself enough? You're really pushing hard. Have you taken time for rest or for recreation or some time out to refill yourself. And they may tell you, it's really important to me to get good grades because I have this big plan. Fabulous. That sounds great. Maybe you can be the support to say, okay, well, even though you've got this big life goal, you still need some time out for fun. But they also may say, oh, yeah, I just have to do this. And if you get that kind of response where somebody is not really able to explain to you, but they feel pressured, that's when you need to dig a little deeper. What's really going on? And if the person can't verbalize, just be their support. Well, hey,
Mm.
would you like to go on a hike with me? Or, draw them out of that shell that they found themselves in. I think one of the hardest things is when you are growing up in a family where you have narcissistic individuals or people who are not well emotionally, there isn't often a support person in the home because the other parent might also be experiencing the abuse and have no coping mechanism. Or they could be aligned with each other and think that this is perfectly normal behavior and that you are just supposed to figure it out on your own. So let's, as adults, reach out to those children and other people who may not be really forthcoming with what's going on to them. Not necessarily tell me what's going on, spill it all now, but hey, would you like to go for coffee? Or I'm going to this event, or this, I'm going on this hike, or let's just learn to include those who may not be the best at social activities.
Thank you. I think that is so important. What you shared is to pay attention to what the markers of somebody in an emotionally abusive relationship, an abusive relationship period, and particularly, like you said, when you cannot see the markings on the body. I also want to add neglect as a form. Sometimes you might be ignored or rejected by partner or parent when you're in an abusive relationship or cycle with a narcissist or someone of the sort, that it can also be rejection driving the approval for a child to get those grades or for certain
Or to
behaviors.
engage, yes, engage in some of that riskier behavior for the approval of the peers if they've already given up on the parent. So
Ah,
let's, really help children before it gets to the point where they are stepping over the line repeatedly looking for any kind of approval from anyone.
yeah, okay, thank you. I think that's super duper important and often overlooked because we don't know what to look for because we don't talk about it enough as a
Yes.
society, as a culture.
And as adults, if you see somebody who is really struggling, the last thing they need is any kind of shame or any kind of correction. I wish somewhere along my journey, somebody had just said to me, I believe in you, instead of, oh, why'd you do that? That was a stupid choice.
Or
Listen,
why don't you just leave? Sorry.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, let me tell you, I knew it was a stupid choice.
I'm well aware.
let me i I'm sitting here with the consequences of that choice. I don't think there's a molecule in my body that is saying, oh, great job. So
You're funny.
what what I needed was, hey, kind of seems like you're going through a tough time. How could I support you? Or just, I believe in you. I know you're really going through it, but I believe in you. You always make great decisions, and I'm sure that you're going to find your way forward from this place as well.
Okay,
Just a
so
little affirmation.
for the love of God and all that is holy, there's something you said that I want to echo and highlight. I think one of the most important things we can do to serve, if we really indeed want to serve and help somebody, is to simply ask, how can I help? What do you need? Instead of going into coaching mode with people, especially easy for a lot of us empaths or healers. A lot of you listeners here are coaches of sorts in your own life. And as someone who has gone through a tremendous amount of trauma, is currently walking through something rather horrific, I will one day tell the story on. I have had so many people want to coach me when it was not what I needed, that it actually gave me a trauma response. It gave me anxiety. And I have one of my girlfriends, she is amazing and really good with trauma. And that's always her MO is, what can I do? How can I support you? What do you need? How can I help? Like, that is her starting question anytime I present something that is daunting or traumatic or hard. And it's a great lesson for all of us. So thank you for bringing that in. How can I help? What do you need?
And let's also remember to acknowledge if somebody comes to you, my world is imploding. Don't say, no, it's not. Say, gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Let them feel like somebody is hearing that they are in a tough place. I just got an email like that today, and that was my first line. I'm so sorry you're going through that.
Yeah.
I wanted to say lots of other things that could move them out of that, but I
Right.
also knew that's not what they needed. That was not it's They are not at the place where they can implement anything. All they are capable of doing is reaching out. Does anybody care?
That can be so much in itself, to reach out, because a lot of times people in really dangerous situations or hardships or abusive cycles or situations don't reach out because they're on spin cycle. They're stuck. Like, everything can seem like a daunting task, the smallest, most minute task, right? So reaching out and even saying that is a big deal. You're right.
Well, I know for myself, I stayed in a relationship that had reached its sell by date years and years ago, out of embarrassment, out of guilt, out of fear, out of having no support system outside of that relationship. And if anybody had said to me, wow, I'm sorry you're going through that, I believe in you, I know you'll find a way, can I help you? It could have ended hurt for both sides, because there's never a relationship where one person is being hurt and the other person is skating away clean. And I think it is important that we understand the one who is doing the abuse is hurting probably even more than the one that is receiving the abuse, because the one that is receiving the abuse is likely at some point to get out and get help. The one that's doling it out may never feel worthy of reaching out for help. They can hide it under all sorts of different coping things. I don't need help. It's not mine. No, I don't have the problem. They had the problem. They can put up a whole smoke screen, but you do not hurt someone unless you are hurting.
That's another really important piece. Thank you. I actually listened to a little clip with Brene Brown speaking, I think just yesterday, and she was saying how we speak about the narcissist and what awful people they are. And she went into basically saying, like, this is one of the mental health issues that we sort of, oh, I wish I could remember exactly how she said it, because we just, it holds such disdain for, and actually it is an issue for them. Like, they're hurting. It's a mental health issue, really. Is it a mental health issue? Because it
Oh,
feels like it, right?
absolutely. I mean, but we love to vilify them. Instead, how did they get there? Well, just like the empath developed more because they saw themselves as not enough, the narcissist saw themselves as not enough. So they went to, I need more attention. I need to be bigger or show that I'm something really incredible. The empath sort of burrowed in and said, well, I need to do more acts, loving acts that will help people see me as good. The narcissist, for whatever reason, wasn't able to find anything within themselves. And so they went outward. I'm going to be bigger. I'm going to be stronger. I'm going to be better. I'm going to make everybody look at me. And it is very sad because within that belief system, there's only emptiness. So, is it fun to be around a narcissist? No. Are they abusive people? Yes. Are they often unwilling to change? Yes. Are they happy? No.
Okay, back up one sec here. Is it fun to be around a narcissist? Well, it can be.
It
Let's
can
let's
be.
remember the grandiose, like there is often, they like to have fun, they like to spend money, and there's this whole, because it's all about the show sometimes. So that is why it can be such, it can be a slippery slope getting involved in a relationship with a narcissist, because it can be so exciting and
Well, it will
present.
be. But at the same time that you are being wined and dined and showered with all sorts of different presents, if you are have allowed yourself to clear and heal the trauma, you will be getting that feeling of something's not right. I'm not comfortable. I don't feel okay. So, the best way out of a narcissistic relationship is to love yourself. The best way to stay out is to love yourself even more.
So the best way out is the way in. It's the way
Yes,
into you, the way into your own
yes.
heart, which is why you do the beautiful work that you do. And I will just say for our listeners, I have been working with this incredible woman here, and what you bring to the table is incredibly unique and incredibly powerful and
And was
important.
born from my own trauma. So I am not one to point any fingers because I will always tell people I've been where you are, only a lot worse. I made decisions that were so ridiculously bad that I can't even imagine how I processed that. So,
Well, I always say that crazy behavior is crazy making. Having grown up with, emotional abuse, I understand how that cycle can begin, where you could be like, oh my God, like you can't even think straight.
well, and my daughter, who is an incredible being, as is my son, said to me the other day, "Mom, you look so much better." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." I was like, "Oh, really?" She said, "Yeah, you kind of used to look like you were 1 second from passing out." And I was like, "Oh." And here I thought I was hiding it so well, that I was playing the we're so normal game, and that everybody who looked at me was really encouraged by me because I always had a smile on my face and I always was normalizing anything and everything so that other people would feel comfortable. But yet, here are the people, and yes, they were going through it with me, so they knew kind of what was going on, but they were not fooled. They saw that this was not okay. So I think that's the next thing that I want to say to the person who may be in an emotionally abusive relationship or any kind of abuse. You're not okay. And you don't have to normalize it and you don't have to pretend. It's okay to say, this isn't working. I need help. That doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a weak person. It doesn't even make your partner a bad person. They are just a person who is not the right person for you. So you don't have to blame. You don't have to shame. You don't have to review your life with a microscope and look at all of the bad decisions you made and feel like now you have to apologize for all of them. Forgive yourself and move on. You made the decision to be with this person or be in this relationship with the information that you had at the time and with the self love that you were able to engage with at the time. At the time I entered my relationship, I didn't have any. I was at a zero, a big old zero. So I am delighted to be in this place now, but I had to forgive who I was and where I was and how I got there and forgive the other person because they weren't in any better place than I was. They thought they were, but they, looking back, I recognize that was another wounded individual. I was running into that relationship to fix all of their pain so that I wouldn't have to acknowledge any of my own. And now I can't go back and blame that person when I was the one that said, I can't wait to fix you, to help you, to make your life better. All
Right.
they did was say, yes, come on in. I'm absolutely delighted to have somebody take all of the responsibility for my life.
Right. The overarching over responsibility piece is such an empathic wound. I know that one oh so well. I want to speak to something you just said. I mean, and forgiveness. Forgiveness is so the way through. Self forgiveness, forgiving everyone, right?
Well, let me just say, too, you're not going to grow up in a stable, loving home and be likely to enter into an abusive relationship. These are patterns that are formed in childhood. Something will have happened in childhood where you were not supported, or you didn't feel as though you measured up, or that you met whatever standard was reasonable for that home. And so you had to go somewhere else to look for validation, and you had no self appreciation or respect going on either. Now, again, the parents who are incapable of supporting you, loving you, validating you, or helping you feel strong in yourself are hurting as well. They are, for whatever reason, unable to see that within themselves. So, this is not an opportunity to, I blame you and you and you. This is an opportunity to say, I see the wounding in others and I see the wounding that was created in me because I modeled them. So, I'm going to forgive them and I'm going to clear and heal my heart and forgive and honor myself.
Oh, Dr. Marcia, that was so beautiful. I'm so moved. And I think that is such an important place to come to and from. And often, when a relationship is ending, people regret it, or we have a habit of saying to someone, oh, I'm sorry that relationship didn't work out. I don't say that and I don't believe that. Did you have fun? Did you grow? Did you learn? Great. Take that information and make yourself better, right? That's what it's all about. So,
Hallelujah. There was a point where, walking through hell, finally coming out the other side and being able to be someone that I could actually admire, I sat down in my prayer meditation time, I sat down with Mother God and I said, if I ever forget any of these lessons, if I ever go back to the place where I was, I give you my permission to set me into those same circumstances or ones that are even worse, because where I am now is worth it. So I want everyone to remember that you didn't just go on this challenging journey because you wanted a challenge. You did it for the growth. And I don't know if I would be in this place without that growth. So I honor all of the people that challenged me along the way. I don't have relationships with them anymore, but I honor them and I am deeply grateful for them. I chose not to have them stay in my life. That would have been unhealthy. But deepest gratitude and appreciation for what they taught me, because where I am now is so much better than where I could have gotten without them. I needed them to push me. I needed them to make me uncomfortable. I needed them to help me grow. I don't need that kind of push anymore because I found a new way to honor myself. But boy,
Hallelujah.
I needed it then.
I'm loving all of this. I'm just loving this so much. I am with you, sister. Everything you just shared.
Isn't it
And
just so fabulous, though, to be able to say no regrets?
I don't regret my life. I'm not a person who regrets. And there is some healing that I need to do. There's some forgiveness that I need to do that I haven't quite gotten to yet, but I always get there and I will.
Absolutely, you will, as long as you give yourself permission. As long as you stay out of the, gee, Lisa, you should have gotten there yesterday. I'm so disappointed in you.
Right, that punishment, it doesn't frickin' work, people.
That was me constant. Oh, really? Look, it's the end of the day and we still haven't gotten that done. That was me like every minute of every day. And did it ever get done? Sometimes, but it didn't get done with joy, with love, or with peace. It
Right.
got done with the whip. And I had to really school myself in putting away the whip because that was all that I really knew. And it took a long time to move away from that place into the place where I could say, I want to do those things which are for my highest good. Some of them may be tough, some of them may be challenging, some of them will be fun, some of them will be filled with joy. But I want to do all of them because I love the expanded, more enlightened self that I am becoming. And I don't want to spend time with that other person who was lost in their victimhood.
Yeah. Amen. Aho. And ashe. All of them.
And let's be clear, this is not victim bashing. If you are in a place where you find that you have become a victim, that's okay. It's incredible that you are able to acknowledge that you feel victimized. I'm just going to ask you not to stay there. Please don't say, this is the end of the road. This is all that I will ever be. Reach out to somebody who has made it beyond where you are now and ask them to help you. Help them, ask them to show you the way. It will mean that you have to give up being a victim because you can't be empowered and be a victim. But here's the beautiful thing, you're going to love the new you. So it's worth it. And I'm not going to lie and say, it's all hearts and roses. You're never going to have a down day. That's not fair either. There are going to be days, and there were certainly days in my journey where I was like, the victim was really good compared to
It was
this.
a hell of a lot easier, but it wasn't fun.
It wasn't any fun. But when I didn't want to get out of bed because I dreaded what I had to do in order to get through that day, I was wishing that I could just pull the covers over my head, unlearn everything I had learned and go back to being a victim.
Just for a hot minute. Just for a
Yeah.
hot minute.
If I had done that, I would have absolutely hated hated it. It would have lasted for 2 seconds because it would have been so discouraging to have no power after finally stepping into my place of empowerment that I would have just immediately, oh, never mind.
Right. And because you have gone through it, that is how you can really serve at the highest level. When you go through hell and make your way out and back to the top, like who better to lead others who are in those same circumstances and that same sort of hell, right? Speaking of which, where can our listeners find you?
Come visit my website. It's for Marcia Martin, mmhearthealer.com. And I am giving away an ebook. Part of the work in the heart is to really get to know the beings in the energetic realm, the angels, the ascended masters, the saints, the archangels. And so the ebook that I'm giving away right now is 11 ways we resist their assistance and what you can do instead. So hop on my website, sign up for the mailing list, and you will get that ebook. You will have to verify your email address, but it will come to you immediately and it will start you on your journey into the heart where you have your divine connection and where you are going to be able to grow and really meet the you that is you. You'll really get to fall in love with yourself.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much. You are such a blessing. I'm so glad you decided not to stay a victim and to do the hard and beautifying, powerful work that you've chosen to do, and that you are leading the way to others healing their heart. It is so needed. Thank you, darling.
Oh, you're so welcome. But I just want to say one of the most beautiful things is that because I've been through it and they taught me, the beings of the energetic realm, taught me all of these tools and techniques. I can help you make your journey less painful. So it is the gift that just keeps giving. First, it gave me back to myself. Now it's helping me give others back to themselves with much less pain and frustration. So please don't feel that it's going to be the 20-year journey that it took me. No, it can be pretty quick and amazingly not painful. It's not they live through the trauma and extract every ounce of pain from every situation. It is understanding the gift, understanding you, using it to elevate, and then sharing with someone else.
Thank you. And you reminded me, I'm going to add this one thing now before we log off. You reminded me when you hear, if you've ever heard, listeners, if you've ever heard somebody say, you must ask. We live in a free
Oh,
will universe. You have to ask for assistance. You have to ask for help. Just like you have to, in the physical world, actually ask someone to help you, you have to also do it in the spiritual realm. That when you want to enlist the help of angels, archangels, your personal spirit guides, ascended masters, Christ, God, whoever you are calling upon, ask and you shall receive, because they don't just show up unless you're maybe on your deathbed and there was a crisis that they'll come in and swoop you up and intervene. Otherwise, you must ask. And you remind me that even though I knew it, I've known it, sometimes we forget when we are in crises that you still have to ask, and all the time throughout the whole journey, like every day, like before you leave the house or before you're doing something hard. And I think that's some of the beauty in what you teach as well, is who to ask, what, when, like who to call upon for their different brilliant tasks that they offer.
well, and I think one of the most effective images they gave me is that we are not marionettes on a string. If we had no free will, if God just put us into these lives and then started moving us around the life in the way they thought was best, what's the purpose? We have the opportunity to make the worst mistake or the best decision, and yet we're all going to return to that source of love from which we came. But we do have to, because we are free will beings, we must say, oh, I need help. Otherwise, we're just puppets on a string doing what somebody else told us to do. So, our free will is our greatest gift, and we have to make sure we don't use it as our greatest downfall. But stay mindful, stay present. Oh, I could really use some help on this. Okay, guys, come on in. Help me out. Guide me. Lead me to my highest good, the truth that will show me what I need to get out of this situation. And understand, when you ask for guidance, you also bring support to the other people. And never will they support you and hurt or harm another person, nor will they support another person and hurt or harm you. They always have a solution that supports the highest good for all concerned and does no damage.
Thank you for explaining that so beautifully. Again, such an absolute pleasure. And you are a plethora of information and wisdom and love. All right, beauty. Thank you. I'm Lisa Eddy, your host of the Sacred Beauty Lifestyle Podcast, which is now being shared here on YouTube. I hope this episode brought you insights and inspiration to radiate and shine with confidence. Remember to subscribe so you receive new episodes hot off the press right when they are released. And follow me on Instagram for more juicy tips at I am Lisa Eddy. Also, ladies and gentlemen, when you subscribe, like, and share these episodes, it helps me to get seen by more people. And that means a lot to me because I am committed to reaching millions of women across the globe and waking them up to the sacred beauty lifestyle, owning their true power and beauty, both inside and out. Now, more than ever, we need more women shining instead of hiding. When we band together, we are unstoppable. This is how we change the world, together. Remember the sacred beauty lifestyle and get on out there and shine. The world needs your light.